welcome back to In Divine Timing. The purpose of this podcast, my baby, is to bring light to the divine orchestration of our life. Every single experience was planned with intention from the Creator to move us to remember and align with our highest good. I am your host, Z, multidimensional healer, coach, and NLP and EFT practitioner. Today's episode, Words Matter. My transformation from a full-time stripper to a full-time coach. Today's episode is about the power of our words. How the language we speak over our lives can either anchor us in limitation or liberate us into expansion, and how this truth guided me through one of the biggest transformations of my life. And that's happening right now. So we're going to jump into this. Let me just start with a little story time. When I first started stripping, y'all, a girl was working anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks back to back. And it was chaotic. It was messy. It was achy. It was addictive. The money was fast. And there was a lot of alcohol involved. I'm not going to lie to you. That shit was crazy. I just had to sit there and I was having flashbacks for just a second. And, when I first started dancing, when I first started stripping, whatever you want to call it, I really had to develop my own understanding and my own beliefs of the choice that I decided to make. Because prior to that, I was pushed into a factory job that I never wanted to work, but didn't have enough boundaries or inner strength to stand up for myself and say, no, I want to stay going to college. I ended up in a factory. That shit was crazy. That's the story for another time. But when I first started dancing, I had to make my own definition of what it meant to be a stripper because my family was not happy about it. And then I was hearing all sorts of negative shit. Of course, everybody has their own perspective of what they think of strippers, I developed, obviously, this love for strippers, strong, independent, sovereign women, and sometimes men, graceful, quirky, intelligent, resourceful, magnetic, captivating. Oh, I could go on. We love them. We love them. But on the other side, there was all of the judgment, all of the negativities. Strippers are gold diggers. Strippers. This is my favorite one, guys. That's not a real job. Stripping is not a real job. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one. That is my favorite one to clap back to. Getting over that one was a doozy. What else did I come across? It's so hard for me to even dig these negative things out of my brain because I did so much work deleting them from my mind. I did so much fighting, so much speaking my truth and standing up for my girls, myself, the community of sex workers. And that now I don't really hear it at all. When you know yourself, when you know that you're just a good, sweet, loving person, you know what your intentions are. And people get you all wrong because of their opinions and their perceptions. And then you have to go through the whole process of introspection and self healing and, leveling up, aligning, reconnecting with yourself on a deeper level. That was that whole entire thing. So, yeah, the beginning of the stripper journey was wild. And I elevated, I ascended, and eventually stopped drinking so much. I don't even go there that much anymore. And we'll get into that later. I don't even call it work anymore. I go to the club to hang out with my friends. The weight of the words are heavy. Let me just say that. Whatever words a person decides to attach to and the associations they have with those words, regardless what it is, it's heavy. It's impactful. So I came to a point where I shifted from shame and survival. This is when I felt like I had to defend myself all the time to sacred, re- how do you say the word reclamation? Reclamation, sacred reclamation, you know, claiming my sovereignty. That shift is when I began speaking differently. I went from a space, like I said, of feeling like I had to defend myself to being empowered, to being unbothered. For a while, I fluctuated feeling shame with the word stripper because of the transition that I experienced with my family. They weren't happy about it. Once I started to lean into what it meant to me to be a stripper, my attitude changed. I was loved and protected by those women. It's truly a sisterhood, and it's something that I have always craved. So, listening in, are you now seeing the theme of how words matter? If you don't, keep listening. And if you do, keep listening. What it looked like during my transition of fear into faith, let me just story time again. Once upon a time, I had this client because when I started my stripper journey, a couple years later, I started my coaching journey. And one of my very first clients tried to convince me that I couldn't be a stripper and a healer. And knowing what I know now, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy talk. But this client really got in my head, and it was really the devil hard at work to bring me back to myself, my remembrance, and my wholeness. So I wouldn't change it for the world, but that shit was crazy. I got really stuck in my head feeling like I had to live a Hannah Montana life. And then I learned duality. I learned how beautiful it is to honor the dark side and the light side of yourself, because we need both to create balance. So for a while, I felt stuck. I felt like that was all that I could be, that I was just a stripper, and that society just had this super negative image painted of me and painted of strippers and sex workers. And it was just stuck in my head. And in my heart, I was like, with the experience that I'm having, we're just girls. We're just girls. All we want to do is shake ass, eat food, tell each other that we're pretty, and be told that we're pretty. You know, that's it. We want to talk about books. We want to go on adventures. We want to be girls. So I was really going on a journey, honestly. And I'd say that I still am. Will always be going through a journey. I love it. But the ride was bumpy the first 4 years, the first 3 years, 4 years of my stripper career. I was really discovering who I am and what I was brought here to do, how to turn the pain that I experienced in my life into power, and how to truly use my gifts to serve. And being a stripper was absolutely a part of that plan. As I got older, my body started to remind me that I was getting older, and I decided that, I have really developed a skill set to be able to talk to people. I have a confidence. I have this ability to be able to understand people. People love to come to me and open up and tell me their whole life story. And for some reason, I have this beautiful word to be able to touch their souls and bring them to a point of opening their hearts so they can experience love and healing. With all of the experience in my life that I've had spiritually, everything that I had to overcome within myself, and this beautiful ability to connect and communicate with others, I started my coaching journey. And let me tell you, I wanted to do everything by myself. So the first 3 years of my coaching journey was rough. It was rough. And I loved it because if I didn't go through that, then I wouldn't be able to preach what I preach now, which is welcoming support changes your fucking life. So I got 7 certifications to support me to learn how to help others along their journey, whether it was spiritual, whether it was healing, whether it was growing. When I first started my journey, I only spoke woo-woo talk because that's just my language. I learned through that not everybody understands woo-woo talk. So I got science-backed certifications as well to be able to communicate with people so they are able to understand what it is that I'm saying, referencing the thing that we all share, which is our body, our mind, you know? So I went from stripping full time, working 7 days to 3 weeks straight, to now coaching full time. And now, honestly, I say that I don't even work. I don't have a job. It was a couple of months ago that I realized co-creating my reality with my language is essential for my growth and my success. We can reprogram the meaning that our words hold. And that takes time. It takes time to rewire the nervous system. It takes intention. It takes attention. It takes focus. It takes direction. It takes commitment. Every time you speak, you cast a spell. Your words are wands. And I had to learn how to speak differently if I wanted to live differently. I have cut the word work out of my vocabulary because their society, family, friends, everything in this world right now that is surrounding us, the media, has such a negative attachment to the word work. So I like to focus on the fact that I am providing a service. Whether it is that I am dancing and providing a luxury service of entertainment, or going to the club to hang out with my friends and receive the money that I deserve for existing, or providing a service coaching, helping people return home to themselves. That feels so much better than the word work. Work is such a bland word. And this is why words matter. You feel me? Okay. Now that story time's over, I really want to get into the science of this and talk about neurolinguistic programming and why words literally reshape you and me and the world. It's all one. So, neurolinguistic programming, NLP, this studies the relationship between language, the brain, and our behavior. The words we use activate neural pathways, creating emotional states and body responses. For example, saying I'm stuck versus I'm learning creates two very different physiological and energetic outcomes. When we speak, the brain releases chemicals in response. This is the physiology of language. Negative self-talk triggers cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and positive and empowering language increases dopamine and serotonin. This regulates your mood, your motivation, and your focus. All key for success and living in your higher self reality. Words impact your posture, they impact your breath, they impact your nervous system regulation, which is a key element in manifesting and feeling safe to receive that which we deserve and we desire. Now, there's this thing in your brain called your reticular activating system, and it pretty much filters all of everything because we have everything that we see, everything that we smell, everything that we feel, everything that we taste, everything that we hear. There's all of this energy in all of these different forms happening around us all the time. So your reticular activating system filters out all of the stuff that doesn't really matter and focuses on what you have deemed important in relation to your beliefs, your identity, all that good stuff. It's a filter in your brain that listens to what you say and then it seeks to prove it true. I'm going to say that again. Your reticular activating system is a filter in your brain that listens to what you say and then it seeks to prove it true. Your brain is listening to you, okay? The reticular formation is located in the brainstem, specifically within the central core of the medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. It extends from the lower end of the medulla to the upper end of the midbrain. So, for example, if you say, I'm not good enough, your brain literally tunes into that and it looks for evidence to support what you just said. So if you say something like, I'm powerful and I'm supported, your brain's going to start looking for evidence to support that instead. We all know that words carry a vibration. If you feel called to, I invite you to think of the word love and listen inward to how that makes you feel. Chances are, if you feel warm, you have experienced beautiful support in your life. And if you're feeling resistant or avoidant, maybe you didn't get enough hugs. Maybe you don't get enough hugs. Or maybe recently you've had your heart broken or have experienced some sort of loss. And for those who are feeling resistant or avoidant, I'm sending you so much kindness, so much compassion, so much love, so much support. And with your permission, I am sending you a hug. If you're listening to this, I'm sure that you have at the very least, a little bit of spiritual something sprinkled into your essence. So we're going to talk about the throat chakra. The throat chakra is a channel of creation. It governs self-expression, communication, and your ability to manifest your ideas into reality. It takes what we are thinking, in what we are feeling, what we see, what we experience, and gives us the power and the opportunity to speak out and create. Speaking your truth, affirmations, intentions, they all activate your aura. So it's important to say what you mean and mean what you say, friends. There's a quote in the Bible, John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So sound creates form, my friends. Your voice is your first magic wand. The power of your words can shape your reality and help you create the life that you desire to live. Or they can keep you trapped and stuck in a space and a place where you are unhappy. When I was in high school, I experienced some heavy emotions. I went through a lot of depression and a lot of self-harm. And there's this guidance counselor I would talk to, and I used to punch walls. I was really angry when I was younger. And she told me that I had to stop punching walls because it was self-harm. And I was like, well, I don't want to hit people, so I hit walls. And she was like, well, you're hurting yourself when you do that. And I was like, okay. And so then I, she would listen to me talk, and sometimes I would just call myself a stupid bitch a lot. And she told me that that was also another form of self-harm. And I was like, Mrs. Thomas, I don't know what you want me to do because what, lady? So she sent me home with homework, and she said, I want you for 1 week to only say nice and loving things to yourself, even if you don't believe them. And I will never forget the time that I was in my laundry room doing my laundry, putting clothes into the washer, telling myself that I was so cool and I was so beautiful and I was so nice. And I started crying because I didn't believe those things, and it was actually painful for me to say those things. But I could understand what was happening at that time. So I continued to speak loving, kind words to myself. And eventually, 2 weeks later, I was really happy. My life had changed completely. And I started to believe those words. So even when I didn't fully believe that I was beautiful, that I was worthy of love, when I didn't believe that I was awesome, that was one of my favorite things to say. I'm so awesome. When I didn't believe those things, I said them anyway, and eventually I began to believe those things. So, friend, I invite you to do a little word audit for the next 24 hours. As we close out this podcast, I'm going to give you homework. What are you saying out loud? I'd like you to ask yourself that. What is it that I'm saying out loud? What is it that's repeating in my head? What label or belief have I outgrown, but for some reason keep reinforcing? And instead of saying, I'm trying, try to say, I'm doing it. Actually, scratch that. Instead of saying, I'm trying, say, I'm doing it. And instead of saying, I'm overwhelmed, say, I'm prioritizing peace. It takes a little more brain power to be creative, but activate that sacral chakra. Tap into your feelings. How is it that you want to feel? Activate your throat chakra. Speak into existence the reality that you desire to live in. Create that reality with the words that you choose. And before we go, I want you to remember that you are not the words that they gave you. You are the words that you choose now. Friend, if this podcast resonated with you today, If you feel like you are on a journey of reconstructing the new you, and you might feel a little bit alone, but you don't want to feel alone, I invite you to join my private community, the Elevated and Sacred Embodiment Collective, for deeper teachings, journal practices, and sacred soul connections. If you feel called to, book a one-on-one session with me to reprogram your mind and body with support. And subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with somebody who is ready to reclaim their power and step into their highest timeline. I love you guys.